It's easy to take a look at the various scenes we've been looking at and say, sure, that applies to those clips, but what about mine? I've got a commercial or a comedy or a music video. Nothing like what you've shown, Norman. Well, that's a good point. So let's start to examine various genres and forms so we can see just how well everything we've learned so far holds up. Dessert Date is a short comedy scene in which Anil, an uncomfortable but happy 20-something, is on a first date with Dolly, a charming and friendly young woman. When Dolly leaves the table for a minute, her place is taken by the confident Amelia, who starts munching some of Dolly's dessert until it and her coffee are almost finished. So that's our logline. Now we have to find out where our lean-forward moment is. To do that, we'll do what we always do. Look at the script and do an analysis of it. So that tells us that Anil is nervous, though very happy that things have been going well so far. The entire first section is told from Anil's point of view. So is our logline. We want to follow Anil's arc here. On the second page of the script, we see Amelia enters. The script notes that Anil is not quite sure what to do. Later on, it indicates that he's getting more and more confused. Here it says he cannot figure out what to say. And here, Anil has no answer. On page 3, the script details what happens when he can't take it anymore. Anil can't stop her right before she leaves. Then it talks about the actions that he takes as he realizes that Dolly is going to be coming right back. Finally, let's note the interaction between Anil and Dolly after she returns, with the dialogue and the very long pause. Doing our usual analysis, we'll figure out that this is Anil's scene. Next, how does he start the scene? Well, he's a bit nervous but happy. How does he end the scene? He's flustered, confused, upset. Even though this is a gradual change, we still want to find the lean-forward moments. And they seem to happen right around the area before and after Amelia gets up and leaves. Before she leaves, he's trying to get her to stop. After she leaves, he realizes that he's in big trouble and he tries to clean up. So let's take a look at an early cut of the scene and see how it was shaped to show those things and give us that lean-forward moment. Oh, and let's add one more thing to the mix. We need the scene to be funny.
Maybe go to the beach,
Right.
horseback riding, maybe.
Hey.
Haven't really planned it out. Just gonna see what comes up.
Want
Yeah.
some?
Oh,
Told
wow.
you. There you go.
Sir.
My favorite.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Wow.
Nope, that's
All
good.
right. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thanks. This looks amazing.
Let's go. Let's dig in.
I'm gonna excuse myself really quickly. Just one moment. I'll be right back. Wait for me.
I will be waiting.
Hi. I just wondering if I should get this. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Definitely want to get. It's good. Oh my god. It's really good. Just one more bite. It's raspberry or... What's the name of this on the menu? Definitely hate paying for things without knowing if you're gonna like it or not. Huh? Okay. Let's see if it's good with coffee. It tops it off. This is so good. This last little crumbs are really good. Did you try the crust on it? I'm imagining this with it, and I think it's gonna be perfect. Wash it down. Last little. That's a winner. Dig in. It's really good. Sorry about that. I have been thinking about this.
Notice how this scene is shaped. It starts in the wider or medium shots with Anil and Dolly, but it keeps focused on Anil. When Dolly leaves, we spend a long time on Anil. We've also kept his ad-lib line, "I will be waiting," in the hopes that we'll get a laugh out of it, or at least prepare us for a later laugh when he reacts to Amelia sitting down. Note that the rule of threes applies in a comedy here. You set up the audience's expectations, then you confirm the expectations, and then you thwart them. It is important then to let the audience think that Dolly is going to be returning to the table, which happens right here in the shot onto Anil. Of course, we could have cut back to the wide shot showing Amelia walk in and sit, but we'd like to hide that from the audience a bit longer. So we play Amelia's entrance and the first part of her sitting on Anil's shot. He doesn't notice, maybe we won't notice. There are two other areas that I'd like to highlight here. The first comes around the lean forward moment, and the second comes at the very end. Let's look at the area where Amelia goes too far with the coffee and then gets up to leave. Note that we've been keeping in Anil's medium or medium close-up shots most of the time as he gets more and more flustered. When she finally decides to take her last bite, we drop back for the wide shot so we can see him try and stop her. This also changes the size of the shot, and that's going to attract the audience a little bit more. If we wanted, we could also add more sounds of him rearranging the plates to increase the emotion that the scene analysis tells us that we need, his sense of being flustered. That could be funny. Now let's look at the end of the scene. We spend a bit of time with his panic, which is very different than the way he started the scene, and then we bring Dolly back in. And notice this is in a similar shot to the one we used for Amelia's entrance. This callback to the earlier shot is subtle and might not be noticed by the audience, but it's a very common device used by editors to introduce a concept early in a scene and then twist it a little bit later in the scene. Notice one thing about the final beat here. You'll notice that something is very different here than in the script. We've eliminated all of Anil's dialogue, cutting instead to a close-up shot of his sheepish, embarrassed, flustered grin. So we did that for the comedy. What was important in our scene analysis was that we show his change. I judged that all of his readings of his scripted lines were less funny than this grinning look. In later versions, we would, of course, smooth out the edits where Anil's emotions change from one side of the cut to another. We'd also test what playing cheesy restaurant music would have for the comedy. But we now have a shape for the comedy of the scene. We would want to go in and see if we have left enough time to truly see the pain and the panic in Anil's face in the latter half of the scene, while he's struggling to figure out what to do with Amelia. Editing is, as I've said, re-editing, and comedy is no different. In fact, in my experience, comedies require more edited versions than dramas, as you try and wring every possible laugh out of every possible cut. But if you keep the rule of threes and the lean forward moments in mind, and if you make sure that you build to those moments, then you're going to have a much better comedy on your hands.